So what we did is we created a multi-dimensional flame in the LCD screen. So you have way more of a depth in the flame. It looks like the flame is coming out of the logs, behind the logs, in front of the logs. When you look at an electric fireplace that you can't change the flame, you better love that flame, right? Whereas with our product, it's more of like a future-proof model where as long as we keep developing flames, and that's a big priority for our company, is we can continue to take the feedback from the customers and give them what they want. It's finally here in shipping. That's the laser projection, and it's like 85 or 90% transparent. It looks really cool in a very light room, looks really cool in a very dark room. The Redstone V2, the Redstone is our #1 seller. It's gonna have the same exact firebox as the Orion V2 in the traditional shape. We have a lot of people here who are very proud and they like what they do. What makes me the happiest is them being successful and proud of what they develop.
Hi, welcome back to the Modern Blaze podcast. I'm your host, Anastasia Vankova, and today we have a special guest, Kris Richardson, the founder of Modern Flames, one of the leading brands of electric fireplaces. This is his second time on the podcast. The first conversation we had was all about virtual fireplaces. So if you're not familiar with virtual electric fireplaces, I do recommend listening to that conversation. I will link it in the description below. And today, I got to ask Kris all of the questions about their newest virtual electric fireplace, Orion version 2. So many of you have been asking about Orion version 2, when it was going to be available, what the upgrades are, what's the difference between version 2 and version 1. We're going to answer all of these questions in this conversation, as well as cover a lot of the different cool upgrades that Modern Flames have implemented to their entire line of fireplaces, including a see-through electric virtual projection fireplace. So I think you will find a lot of interesting information in this interview. If you are in the market for electric fireplaces, this is definitely a good one to listen to. Okay, without further ado, here's my conversation with Kris Richardson from Modern Flames. Hi, Kris. Welcome back to the Modern Blaze Show.
Hi, Anastasia.
Good to
You're
have you
famous now.
A little bit, just a little bit. It's good to have you back. It's been maybe a little over a year, I think. You guys have so many good, exciting upgrades.
Yeah, we've almost replaced our entire line in 2026, so I'm excited to talk about it.
Yeah, after our first conversation about Modern Flames Orion, we had so many follow-up questions about the version 2 because we kind of teased it a little bit. People kept asking, when is it coming out? When are we going to see the version 2? When is the see-through fireplace coming out? They were planning all of their modeling and they couldn't wait. So I'm excited to have it finally available, and I have so many questions to ask you about it.
Yeah, they're in stock and shipping now. It feels good.
Amazing. Well, should we jump right in?
Absolutely.
All right, version 2, that's what I want to start with. We have so many questions already, and I have a long list. So let's start with the flames, because I think everybody is interested in the flame presentation. Everybody's looking for the most realistic electric fireplace on the market right now. And what is it? I do think virtuals probably are some of the most realistic ones. We talked about it at length in our first conversation, and yeah, it's very subjective, but still, virtual technology keeps evolving. So what is the difference between the flames in Orion version 2 and Orion version 1?
I'll take a step back real quick. The biggest thing that we did on version 2 versus version 1 is we really listened to the customers on what they were looking for, what they liked, what they wish were to be improved. And one of the comments that we got on our version 1 was that the flames were pretty flat, really like more of a two-dimensional flame. So it didn't look as realistic as they would have liked. We had obviously a ton of positive feedback, but when you really look into the critical comments or the feedback, that was one of the main ones. So what we did is we created a multi-dimensional flame in the LCD screen. So you have way more of a depth in the flame. It looks like the flame is coming out of the logs, behind the logs, in front of the logs. So we spent a lot of time really fine-tuning the flame and the realism of not only how realistic the flame looks, but how it looks in the fireplace with the logs and everything, the entire experience.
How did you make it more dimensional? Did you add or is there a mirror, or there was already like a reflection?
Yeah, there is a mirror, and that's always given us a depth in the firebox, but the depth in the flame is what we really improved upon. And there's just a lot of editing that we had to do. It took a long time, but to make it look not only realistic, but like it's intentional and it's a real fireplace.
So the video itself has more dimension.
Yeah. So there's some tricks, and I couldn't explain exactly how we did it, but the video company that we use is like more like a movie studio. They know how to do it, and we just ask them, hey, make it look more, have more depth, have more flames, and then we want the flame to be coming out of this log or in front of this log. It was by far the hardest thing to do because it had to be done for every model and every size.
Right. And Orion comes in 3 different models, right? The Orion Multi, the Slim, and the Traditional, and then all of the different sizes in all of those, right?
Yeah, I think there's 14 total that we have in all those 3 models.
Yeah, that's a lot. Were you able to reuse the flame videos, or you have to shoot all of the new videos?
Oh, we had to shoot all new videos, but the most popular flames in the version 1 are still in there. We call them the legacy flames. So we still have those available because, like I said, everybody we sold to loved the flame. So we didn't want to take away anything in the past, and now we don't have to, because now we have a 4th slot, we call it, basically a 4th flame section, and each one has 6 flames in it. So we have 24 total flames now out of the box.
Oh, wow. And so do they still come in like wood burning flame style and the gas and the mix?
Yeah, so we have it more set up as like a dimensional flames, like our flagship flames, we'll call them. And then that's in flame 1, 2, and 3 slot. And then the flame 4 slot has the legacy flames that we had. But what's cool about that slot is you can upgrade those over the air, like we talked about in the last one. We have a huge library of flames that is not live on the website yet, but will be soon. And you can update those from your app. So if you like something, if you want to try something different, then you can just do it on your own and not having to replace anything physically.
So this is available in version 2. And in version 1, you still need to get, if you want to upgrade the flames, you need to get a USB drive, right?
Yeah, and we don't have those available yet, but they will be, because we really want to make sure that all of our customers have the option to have the benefit of our innovation. So it's important to us, and we'll have that available. I don't know what the date's going to be, but we will make sure there's an announcement when they're available for the version 1s.
Sounds great. Yeah, that's really exciting. The more dimensional flame is definitely, it's not just the Orion. If you look at a lot of virtual fireplaces, that is their biggest struggle. It can be like a 3-sided fireplace, but the flame, especially when you come from the side, looks flat. So I think it's a big challenge, right? Displaying flames on the screen, but how do you make it more dimensional? That is not an easy problem to solve. You guys are working on that.
Yeah, and I think that too, like when you look at the advantages of what we do with the Orion, with the depth of the firebox, it's a big advantage to the home builder. Like some of the holographic units that are out there, you need like 22 inches in depth, and it's more like a gas fireplace. I think of it like a gas fireplace down. Has a lot of the same advantages and the negatives on the gas fireplaces with the depth of the wall and everything there. And you need to be at the right spot to see it. Whereas on the Orion, it's more of an electric up, I call it. It's more of like, this is the LED and the electric fireplaces of the past, but just made into the virtual product. And it's very installation friendly. And we put a lot of work into that as well, as far as how you install it and making sure that we can fit almost any application.
Since you kind of went into that comparison, how do you compare your virtual fireplace like Orion with, what do you call it, a holographic? Is it the next step, I guess, or another category of fireplaces?
Yeah, I would say it's probably in the virtual fireplace category. And there's holographic, there's LCD, and there's for sure. And then we have the laser projection, which we'll talk about later with our Nova Clear. But that's just a whole new category within electric. And the holographics are probably they're more expensive, they're deeper. You can get some really realistic looks out of a holographic flame, but there's a lot of other things that you might not want in your house, right? You might not want to have that higher price. You also don't want to have the depth into the room, and then you need to install it at a certain height for it to look how you want it to look in your room.
So otherwise, it can be distorted and doesn't look quite as well.
Yeah, because they're kind of placed on the log. So if you look at it straight on from, eye level down, it could look good. But then when you go off to the side, if you go close, it kind of loses some of the realism that it's trying to have. And we've worked on those for a while, but that's not in our lineup right now. We decided to go all in on the LCD and the Orion, and that's working out well.
You guys also are in the LED market. So if you were to define who would an LED fireplace before versus a virtual versus a holographic?
I think that a lot of fireplaces are very subjective in the electric fireplace world. Like you need to see it. And then I talk to homeowners all the time, and they come in and they might love it or they might like something else. And I'm actually seeing a trend where some homeowners do like the LED flames and they kind of like that look. And we even added an LED flame into the Orion series. And that's something that hasn't been in the models that we're shipping out now, but is going to be in the over-the-year update. So if you wanted that LED flame, it's more than just a fireplace, a virtual fireplace. It can be anything you want in there. So it's more of a platform and a technology, and the look and the appearance of what the flames offer can be, up to 24 flames at one time in the fireplace.
Oh, wow. This is very interesting. I don't think anybody has done it, putting LED fireplace into a virtual fireplace.
Yeah, well, I think and that's exactly where I think that when you look at an electric fireplace that you can't change the flame, you better love that flame, right? Because you're stuck with it. It's in the wall. You can never change the flame pattern. Whereas with our product, it's more of like a future-proof model where as long as we keep developing flames, and that's a big priority for our company, is we can continue to take the feedback from the customers and give them what they want. And that's what I think is the most exciting, because it took a long time to develop the over-the-air updates.
Yeah, this is very interesting. Obviously, LED, it's all personal preference, right? And then how much money you want to spend. You will start with LED, virtual is an upgrade, and holographic is like a whole next level, but also very subjective. If you find the right place for it, it might work.
Yeah, I think everybody's going to know what they like and what they prefer. So what our goal is, and sometimes we get husband and wives in a showroom and they might disagree on what they like more, right? So now if we can give them both what they want, then it's a way higher opportunity for us and them.
That's exciting. So you have the flame, the more dimensional flame. You have how many now? Different flame patterns, plus the LED version coming out. 24?
24 come in the box, and some of those are the same flame, but the different colors. There's a lot more that we've developed that might not have made our cut, but somebody else might love. So those can be uploaded over the app.
Then we have over-the-air upgrades to the flames. Then there was something actually mentioned by one of the people who watched our first video, and that was the glowing log set. Did it make it?
Yes, it did. Yeah. So we launched the TruWood, which is the real wood log set, and the Orion V1. And we created the same look and spent a lot of time on the log detail, because obviously, we own Grand Canyon Gas Logs and we know a little bit about logs. And we tried to recreate the TruWood with a lit log set. And that is in every box. It's not an upgrade. It is a standard feature in the box that has LED lit logs.
Yeah, I actually saw those. I mean, I think it looks really great. I like how they're bigger size, chunkier, look more like real wood, and the glowing feature really makes it.
Yeah, and it's amazing too to look at the progression, right? You go to the original V1 with the original logs that we had, then to the TruWood, it was like a different product. And now with this, it's just one step further. So when you compare them side by side, it's like, not how do we sell that because it was the best at the time, but it is something that we can continue to improve on, and we keep on proving to ourselves that we can make it even better.
Absolutely. I love that you guys keep innovating. You don't just stop and settle for what you have.
Yeah.
How about the crackling sound? Is it still there?
Yeah, we updated that as well. So we still have the classic crackling that we had in the version 1, but now we have 3 other modes. There's a stormy night, starry night. Stormy night has like some lightning and thunder and rain, and starry
I
night
love that.
has more of like the wind. Actually, the stormy night even has some like animal sounds in the back. It's very subtle, right? But it kind of just gives you that, like you're outside in the wilderness and you're hearing the flame and everything else in nature. So I think that was a really cool upgrade that we did. And then the 4th one is Bluetooth mode. So we also spent a lot of time developing our own speaker. And it's not just a small little speaker you would find in an electric fireplace. It's a very high-end premium speaker. It's probably 5 or 6 times larger than the original speaker, and it gives you great sound. So you can pair your phone and play music out of it, and it sounds very good.
It's cool. So at night you can use the fireplace as like white noise, and during the day you can just jam.
Or you can find your own soundtrack that you want to play as your own crackling sound. But I think most people would use it as a Bluetooth streaming music from your fireplace. And I think that's something that people really like. And it's one of my favorite upgrades that we've done.
A pretty good quality sound. I'm curious, how does it compare to that little, I don't know, portable like a JBL speaker?
It would be very similar to like a JBL Flip 5 speaker sound.
Okay, that's pretty good. That's what I use. I love it. That's an interesting upgrade. Anything else out of the box? Like something that you wouldn't think about? I know some of the manufacturers put like a fish tank feature in the fireplace, or what else I've seen? Something weird.
Yeah, in the Flame 4 slot where you can upgrade them, there will be some themes, right? One's like a jellyfish, one is like space, and there's just some things that you can do that are not flames. So you can use it when you don't really feel like having a fireplace on, you can have something else where it's more of like, imagine if you're going to a spa or you're trying to just have more of a relaxation mood, and you can put one of those things on. It has some different sounds to it, and it's very relaxing.
What if you want to keep the jellyfish? Would you remove the logs? Are logs removable?
They are removable, but it actually looks really cool with the logs because with our
Really?
products, we have the uplighting and the downlighting and whatever's playing on the screen. So it's all incorporated into the experience. And so it looks like it's a part of the feature. It doesn't look off. It looks really
Okay, I
cool,
would
but
love.
you can
I would
remove
need to see it. I would need
Yeah.
to see it to believe it.
So we have like the flagship flames, which are the more dimensional flames. And then we have the LED flames that can be uploaded in there. Also some of the themes, and then the legacy flames. So we have a lot of different options. And I think that that's what's going to be really cool, especially for the people in our industry, is just to kind of see what the options are and what they like. And then you can
Yeah.
save the presets. So that's like your favorites. You have a favorite section. So you can say, I like these 4. I want to only choose from these 4 all the time to make it easy to operate.
It's still like you can control it with remote and with the app.
Yep. And we have a
Right.
new app, obviously, because we have to add it in the over-the-year update. It's very similar, but way more improved. I mean, we just did a lot of upgrades to the app, and we had to add some capabilities in it. So it's an app that we built in-house and put a lot of work and investment into that as well.
So does version 2 use different app than version 1?
Yes, it does. It's the Modern Flames Plus app,
Okay.
but
Okay.
the original one's still going to be live because that still holds our other products on there as well.
Now, what about the sizes and framing dimensions and everything else? Are they going to be the same? Like if somebody wants to upgrade from version 1 to version 2, is it possible?
Exactly the same. That was a hard requirement that we didn't want to change anything on the firebox. So if somebody wanted to replace it, it's easy to replace.
And electrical requirements, everything is the same?
Yep. It's just the guts, the insides, all the technology, a lot of the improvements is all done inside the box, but the actual physical dimensions of the box and the power requirements, everything else is the exact same.
Because if somebody wants to, get the newer version down the line, it's without having to change anything really.
Actually, one of the improvements that we made kind of goes along with the flames is we improved the LCD screens to a deeper black screen, more brightness, and we also added in adaptive brightness into the unit. So it's a smart feature that you have where in broad daylight, the brightness of the flame gets really bright. When the room is pitch dark, it darkens down. So that's an
That's really
automatic
nice.
adjustment. That was to solve some of the, sometimes in a very bright room, the flame didn't look as good, and a dark room looked too bright when you couldn't adjust it. So now it's all done. You don't even need to touch it. You probably won't even really notice it. It's just going to look bright no matter where, if it's in the daytime or nighttime.
Oh, that's a great feature. I feel like electric fireplaces definitely are missing that. Sometimes you can adjust the brightness of the flames on like LEDs, but it's not as convenient as having it, how your TV adjusts to the brightness of the room. It makes sense that fireplace should too. I love it.
And you can have it be adaptive off too. So if you wanted to, there's like
Manually.
level 1 to 100. If you wanted to update it to your own setting, you can do that as well. But we spent quite a bit of time getting the values of, in this bright room, we want this brightness on the screen. So it should be pretty close for most applications.
Fireplaces struggle with daylight. Hard to see the flames in the daylight and stuff like that. So do you feel like you improved on that?
Yeah, we had to do it because it's also outdoor rated now, the Orion series, the V2.
Okay.
And so we said, okay, if we're going to put this outdoors, we want people to be able to use it not only at nighttime. So we had to solve the brightness issue, but we couldn't make it too bright for the dark room. So that was kind of a requirement that we had to figure out.
Yeah, that's huge. So it is outdoor rated. When installed outdoors, can you still use the heat?
Yeah, undercovered patio is what we always like. It's outdoor rated. I mean, we had to pass the rain test, but we always like to have some coverage just when you're exposed to the elements. The heater is fine because it's a PTC ceramic heater, which is really designed not necessarily for outdoors, but for humid areas like bathrooms and stuff. So it's a very efficient heater. It's more efficient than the previous one, but it's also able to go outdoors and be used outdoors.
So the heater got an upgrade too?
The heater got an upgrade. We had a similar version, but it's just the ceramic heaters are just extremely efficient, where you compare it to like a wire resistant heater is what they call it, not to get overly technical, but it heats up really fast. And then once it gets to a higher temperature, then the energy usage will go down. So it gives you a very similar heat output using less overall power, which is also important at this point in time.
Yeah, that's huge. More heat, less power usage. That's amazing. So the standard heat output, is it still the same 5,000 BTUs or is it more?
On the multi and the traditional, the larger sizes of the traditional have the ability to be 5,000 or 10,000. If you wire it for 240. So that hasn't changed, because that's just more about how much you need to pull from the wall, right? So that can't change that math equation, but you basically get the same heat output with using less power, which is why it's a big advantage.
That's great. Yeah, a lot of people are really concerned about heat with electric fireplaces. They want as much as possible. It's great to have that as an option. And some of the bigger traditionals have that ability to get the double of the heat output, right?
Yep, it comes in the box. You would just choose to wire for it or not.
Okay. We covered the flames, the logs, the sound, the brightness, the flame brightness. Now it's outdoor rated. Did I forget something else?
The one other thing, there's probably a couple things that we're missing, but I think one of the cool features is on the installation and how flexible it is. So I'll use the Slim, for example. The Slim has a trim, we call it like a self-trimming unit, where you just have the wall all finished up and you slide it inside the wall and there's a border to it. We redesigned the firebox a little bit. We didn't change the dimensions, where now you can actually take off the trim and make that into a built-in clean face.
That's nice.
So on the Slim and on the traditional, because I think a big part of what people want is that flush look inside the wall without the border, but also people like the option to just have that slide in, just everything's done, just put it in the wall and you're done. So we made it capable. It comes in the box. There's like a built-in clean face kit in every box where you can just take off the trim, put the drywall stops, we call them, on the fireplace, and then you can put it into the framing instead of the finished opening.
That's so nice. I'm glad that you can now get that clean look and you don't have to go as deep as Orion Multi.
Yeah, it looks great too. And then on the traditional, it has the same thing. So on the traditional, you can do it as a built-in clean face, a self-trimming slide-in, or an insert into an existing fireplace. So you can really do a lot of things with that one model. And then the Orion Multi, you have the built-in clean face as a single-sided, the left corner, right corner, or bay. And then you can also do it as a wall mount with the studio suites. So there's a lot of opportunities there. And then on the Slim, you have it as a built-in clean face, slide in, or self-trimming, and also a wall mount. So everything's in the box. Whatever you want to do, you can do. And we tried to work really hard on the manual to make it as easy as possible to install.
We had a lot of questions when people are trying to decide, maybe the depth is not that big of an issue, and they're trying to decide between the Slim and the Multi. What would be your recommendations? Who would be the Slim for and who would be the Multi for? If they're just looking for a regular fireplace, clean face, not the corner open, not like a three-sided, just a regular fireplace.
I always lean towards the Multi. The ember bed, the depth of the ember bed is a big deal. The bigger logs, I think that does add a lot of realism to the overall fireplace because it just gives you more depth. The Slim is also great, but it has smaller logs. It only has about 2 inches in the ember bed. So it's more of a personal preference. If you really want to go inside of a 2x6 wall and want to keep the footprint of the room really small, the Slim is probably the right choice. If you don't have any requirements on the depth and you want the best look overall, then I would go with the Multi as a single-sided installation.
And the installation itself is pretty much the same. Like, is one more complicated than the other?
They're all very similar. It just depends if you want to install it into the rough framing of the house at that stage of construction or install it after the wall is completed. That's probably the main difference. But now the Slim can even be built in the rough framing stage to give you the clean look. So I would say...
So Multi can be in the rough framing stage only, and
Yep.
Slim can be either in the rough framing stage or after everything is finished.
Yeah. So the Slim is probably easier if you want that self-trimming and just have a hole and then just go and slide it in. That's probably the easiest, but also the Multi can be wall mounted with the studio suites, and that's probably even easier.
Even easier, yep. And what about servicing? Let's say you installed them during the framing stage. It's all clean face. If you ever need to do anything with the fireplace, is it still accessible?
Yeah, so we have a lot of the components are all accessible from the front of the fireplace. So the glass will come out and then you can access behind the fireplace if anything were to ever go wrong.
Okay. That's good to know. That's a pretty good comparison. Thank you for that. And now you guys upgraded the Orion Multi, the Orion Slim, and the Orion Traditional. And the newest addition to the family would be Nova Clear, right? The two-sided.
Yep, the see-through.
See-through. We kind of touched on it during our last conversation. It wasn't available yet, only a prototype, and now it's finally here.
It's finally here in shipping. That's the laser projection, and it's like 85 or 90% transparent. It looks really cool in a very light room, looks really cool in a very dark room. It's a very high quality, high lumen laser projector that we have very similar features as the Orion. So it's like a room divider, see-through. That overall application has always been popular in the fireplace industry, but electric has been very difficult to accomplish. And we feel like we've finally accomplished it in a product that we're proud of, that we hope people will be proud to have in their room.
The one electric fireplace that's been around, and I personally know of, is Napoleon Clearion, and that's the LED version. Are you familiar with that one?
Yeah, I am.
So if you compare Nova Clear to that fireplace, how does it compare?
It's apples and oranges. It's just a different product, a different technology, but it's definitely a lot more realistic, a lot more options. One of the big things that we've done with the Nova Clear is we have a compartment up in the unit where you can put like a Apple TV or Amazon Fire Stick, and there's a streaming mode too. So at the trade show, we were there during the March Madness at HPBA, and the last day is always pretty slow. So we just put on the NCAA March Madness basketball game on the fireplace.
On the fireplace.
On the
So you
fireplace,
can
yeah.
use it like a TV screen?
Yep. It's designed as a fireplace, but there's a streaming mode that you just hit. There's one button on the remote control, and it goes to just like your Apple TV, whatever you prefer to use. It has all the HDMI cord, the power, all that in the compartment inside the fireplace. So it basically acts as a TV.
Wow, that's cool. And how is the picture quality?
It is very good. It is excellent.
And you can see it in any brightness of the room or only when the lights are off?
No, you can see it in any brightness of the room. The brighter the room is, the more transparent the fireplace is, obviously, because you have light behind it that you're seeing. But even in a bright room, it still has a very good image. It wouldn't compare to like an OLED because of the transparency, but it's a very high definition laser projector that looks very good in broad daylight or when the room's dark.
Wow, that's so cool. And the sound quality?
That one we actually upgraded to the Dolby audio. So we licensing the trademark from Dolby so we can use the speaker, but it had to be up to their standards. So we had to spend a lot of time making sure that it could sound the way that Dolby wants it to sound. And that's one of the upgrades in that model over the Orion V2 is we have the Dolby surround sound.
Surround
the Dolby
sound.
audio. I'm sorry.
Okay.
The Dolby audio, not surround sound.
And that's in the fireplace? That's crazy.
Yep.
Wow. Okay, so that would be a perfect bedroom type installation, I guess, if you want to put it in your master between bedroom, bathroom.
Yeah, master bedroom, even in the main living room. If you want to have something in between two walls or in the wall between two rooms, it's a cool thing to have in there. And then you can also
actually-
switch the video, right? So if you want to view it from one side, if you want to flip it around so you can view it from the other side, you have that option as well.
It actually kind of solves the issue, you know, how everybody likes to install a TV above the fireplace, and sometimes it looks kind of tacky instead of like putting like an artwork there or whatever. So you can actually put this fireplace like normal and then artwork above it, and then you still have your TV.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just as easy as streaming on your normal TV, right? It's just Apple TV, you have the remote control, you have whatever you choose in there. It's not any harder.
With Nova, is it the same setup? Do you control it with an app similar to Orion, or how does it work?
Very similar, yeah. So you have the remote control standard, the controls on the fireplace, the buttons on the fireplace, and you have the app. So you can use any option of those three.
And in the Nova, do you need to upgrade the flames, or is it just like a standard set? Are there different types of flames and versions, kind of like Orion?
Yeah, we added in the dimensional flames from the Orion V2 into the Nova Clear. It doesn't have the option to be over the air because we added the streaming mode, right? So you can stream whatever you want, but the flames on there are fixed. But we figured since you can really do anything you want on there, it's kind of like a jailbroken version of a fireplace where you can add whatever you want, then you don't need to have it as over-the-air updates. You can do anything.
Interesting. And what about the heat? Can you control the heat, like different heat output for different room?
Yeah, so you wire it. I should know more on this, but it's the same overall heat options, right? You have a 120 volt for the 5,000 or 240 volt for the 10,000, and then you can choose which room you heat on. So there's a front and a back or one. So you can have all the heat going into one room, or you can split it up and have a little heat into both rooms or no heat at all.
Okay. And when the fireplace is off, is it just transparent, or what does it look like?
It's just a transparent, yeah, it's like a window. I would probably, the biggest thing, easiest way to explain it would be like a window.
Does it come with logs?
It comes with logs, the same type of logs as the Orion or old TruWood, and there's logs on each side that comes in the box.
Now, when you turn it into TV mode, do logs interfere with the viewing?
No, we have an auto adjust that we incorporate into it where when you turn it to the streaming mode, it comes up right above the logs.
That's cool. I'm really excited for that unit. A lot of people want a see-through electric fireplace, but there are not that many on the market, like literally one. So I'm glad there is an addition to the family.
Yeah.
And you said that you have a lot of upgrades to all of your other models as well. Would you like to talk about those?
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing that we've been working on is the NovaClear and the Orion V2. But now that we've put so much work into those models, there's a lot of things that we can incorporate into our LED models. So that's going to be the next thing that's going to start to come out from Modern Flames is going to be upgrades to our LED versions. The Redstone V2, the Redstone is our number one seller. It's going to have the same exact firebox as the Orion V2 in the traditional shape. And it's going to have the same logs, have the same heater. It's going to have the same remote control, which I forgot to mention is upgraded. It's a very good remote control. Remote controls are always hard. And we feel like we've gotten
I feel like they always
huge
break
upgrade.
and
Yeah, it's the best one we've ever done. So we're incorporating that into all of them. The Redstone V1 never had an app. Now that has an app. So you can incorporate it with all the smart features. And we improved the flame too. Oh, and then also like the installation that we talked about on the Orion V2, you can install it as a self-trimming, slide in, clean face, as a built-in clean face or an insert using the same exact firebox.
brilliant. And are firebox dimensions the same between Redstone and Orion?
Yep, exactly
They
the same.
are?
So it's something where
Okay.
you go and you say, hey, here's the LED version, here's the LCD version, which one do you prefer? And you can just have the same overall look in your house with a different flame technology, whether it's the virtual or the LED flame.
So if somebody bought like a Redstone years ago and now they're like, well, maybe I'm ready for an upgrade and they want to get an Orion traditional, they can? They will
Absolutely.
fit in the same. Okay, that's
Yep.
amazing. And the flame for Redstone, I actually just now realized that somehow you guys have a different flame technology, even though it's still LED, but it is taller than most of the other LEDs.
We use it's called a high intensity RGB, red, green, blue light, right? So it's a very bright LED light that we use. And it gives us more height in the flame. It gives us more of the color options and just more vibrancy in the fireplace. And that was even improved upon.
Awesome. Yeah, we always get positive feedback about the Redstone series, so making it even better, I mean, that's amazing.
Yeah. And then what our main goal was is obviously to keep the price very similar to the version one. So we couldn't add like the high-end Bluetooth speaker in there. So we tried to be very conscious about what we're adding in, make sure it's what the people want in that product.
Yeah, it's a good introductory product for somebody who wants to convert like an old fireplace. Let's say they have an old wood burning fireplace they're not using for $2,000, depending on the size, maybe under like around one sometimes, right? Like the 26-inch size, you can get like a nice, realistic looking electric fireplace, and it will be easy to install. It can be a DIY installation, and yeah, this is a great option.
Yeah.
Redstone is a really good series, and the variety of sizes available from 26 to 50, 54.
26 to 54, and all of the
54?
smaller sizes, the 26, 30, and the 36 have the surrounds that go into the existing fireplaces. And we spent a lot of time researching all the old fireplaces that were built in even the 80s and the 90s to make sure that we have a fireplace solution for that existing fireplace. So I'd say 95% of the fireplaces out there, especially in the wood burning, could have this as a slide into the existing hole, have a surround around the fireplace, and you're done. So it solves that
Yeah.
problem as well.
Yeah, and a lot of people have that problem, and it's a better solution than getting rid of this old fireplace. Because when you start breaking it, like costs it up really quickly. It's going to be more cost effective to just put an insert in it, right?
We've done a case study on what it costs to basically remove the fireplace, your existing fireplace, from the wall, and then what it costs to replace it with one of our Redstone inserts, and it's a less expensive option. So if you have a hole in the house, you can solve it with a new fireplace, and it looks intentional. It looks like it's a finished product because the surround will cover the existing opening.
I love that. Having a solution for this kind of situations, we've done a lot of remodeling, and it's nice to have an easy solution for complicated situations that is not going to break the bank. What about the linear model? What are the sizes of the new Redstone?
So the Redstone Linear is new. We're still calling it a V2, even though we didn't have a V1, just because it has all the new features of the Redstone traditional V2. But the Linear comes in, I think it's 52 inches wide, 62 inches wide, 78, and 102. And it's got the
the
same
big one.
height as the Redstone, right? So it's a higher viewing area. I think the overall height of the fireplace is like 24 inches. And that is a big trend right now that people are asking for is higher viewing areas. And because we can increase the flame height and get a higher flame out of our products, the flame looks great in a higher opening.
And will that have a trim around it, or is it going to be clean?
Both. Same concept as
Same
the
setup.
slim and the traditional we talked about, slide in. It comes with a trim. And then if you want it installed as a built-in clean phase, it has that kit. So you can do either or.
Amazing. And how deep?
10 inches, the same as the Redstone.
So it's kind of right in between the 6 inches and the 12, the slim and the multi for Orion.
Yeah, and we're also using the same logs as the Orion V2, the same remote control, the same heater. So a lot of the same things that we've done and spent a lot of time in development on, we're putting it into all the products. So it's kind of one of the main reasons what's pushing us to make improvements across the board is because now we have these options available that we've already basically made and developed that we just can put inside of other products and improve them.
That's awesome. What about your landscape series? How does new Redstone compare to your landscapes?
The Landscape Pro has been a very good product for us for a long time, and it continues to be that. It's kind of solves a different problem, I guess. It's kind of what our original RGB unit, the red, green, blue multicolor flame, that was our original one, and we've already done a version 2 on that a couple of years ago with brighter flames and everything. But the Redstone Linear can't be installed as a multi-sided. It's just a slide-in single-sided. So that's probably where that fits, is if you wanted the LED version in a multi-sided, that would be the solution for that.
And how does it compare to the slim version of the landscape?
The slim is a little bit slimmer, right? It's 6 inches as a
6
built-in only.
inches, yeah.
So it's a different installation, but I definitely think that the Redstone Linear will probably affect those models a little bit. There's a purpose for all of them, but because it's all new and fresh and has all the new logs in the technology, I think that's going to be our number one selling linear fireplace is the Redstone Linear.
Yeah, it sounds really exciting with the tall flames, and it's still LED. So if you're comparing the price between the Redstone and like Orion, you're probably saving half.
It's probably half, and you get a higher
Yeah,
viewing area.
sounds like it's going to be a great product.
Yeah, we're excited. We expect that to be out in July of this year. So we should be pretty close to starting to send out more information on that. But we kind of kept it. We've shown it at the trade shows and everything there. We've been trying to give the Orion version 2 and the Nova the proper launch. So now we'll start talking about the Redstone V2 and the Linear as we start getting closer to the launch.
Okay. For all of your different series of fireplaces, which ones do you see being installed and used more in residential settings, and which ones in commercial environments?
The Orion V2, I think, will be installed in a lot of commercial settings, but that's also why we have the larger sizes. We have a lot of homes that will put in a 100-inch fireplace, and that's not uncommon, but it's much more common for residential to do like a 60-inch or a 76-inch or something like that. Whereas in a lot of the commercial settings, hotel lobbies, restaurants, they want the bigger the better. So that's why we have a 120-inch in the Orion Multi, and we're launching a 102-inch in the Redstone Linear, more for those commercial applications, but they don't have to be only for the commercial.
Do you see more interest in, let's say, commercial? Do you see more interest in virtual fireplaces or LED fireplaces?
I think that when they're doing a remodel, say in a hotel, they do a full renovation every 7 years. So they are always looking for the newest product in the technology because they don't want to install something that might be old and dated in a couple of years. And I'm not saying it would be old and dated, but the Orion V2 especially is really something that will last the test of time because of how much you can do today and in the future.
I know you guys went to a builder show earlier this year. What model created the most interest there?
The Orion V2 is definitely what most people wanted to understand what the upgrades are. So that was probably the number one most talked about. But the Redstone Linear was kind of like the surprise to everybody because we didn't really tell anybody that it was going to be shown or coming out. And that was probably the talk of the show, was that higher viewing area LED at a really good price point. That's going to be something for the home builders that they can put into their projects. And it's something that will solve a need that really needs to be solved.
Okay. That's very interesting. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, well, you guys have been busy. I'm excited about all of the updates that just came out and are still coming out. Please keep us posted on the, I hope, July date that stays for the Redstone. Definitely keep tabs on that. And anything else you would like to share? Anything else you guys are working on?
We're always working on stuff, but
Right?
I think we definitely pushed it a little bit this last year or two on developing new products. There's a little bit of fatigue, I would say. So now we're going to launch these products, and then we continue to work on the future. And we have a lot of cool projects that are in the works right now that aren't. I think that what we have now is really good, and we're going to have a couple of really good years ahead of us because of all the work that our team has put into the products and all the details and everything that goes into a product is not easy to do. Our team has done a wonderful job putting all the details into something that creates the whole experience of a fireplace.
Yeah, attention to detail is definitely one of your strengths. I love the engineering team behind your fireplaces because it's not very common to it seems like you have thought of everything.
We have a lot of people here who are very proud and they like what they do and they work a lot of hours, and it's not because I'm asking them to, they want to, and they like what they do. What makes me the happiest is them being successful and proud of what they develop.
Amazing. Well, thanks to the Modern Flames team. I'm glad you guys have a great team and great working environment, it sounds like.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for coming on the podcast once again and sharing all of the updates with us, with our audience. It definitely helped to get a little bit more clarity on the Orion series because there's a lot of different things that have changed, a lot of great improvements. And yeah, thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you.
Bye.
And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed my conversation with Kris Richardson. If you have any questions for me or Kris, please put them in the comments. We'll make sure to answer them. And if you have any specific fireplace questions, maybe comparing different models or installation or design, the phone number is on the screen. Please reach out to me or my team, and we will be happy to help. And as always, if you found this video helpful and informative, please give it a like. Please subscribe to the channel, share the video with your friends. This really helps other people discover our content. Thank you so much for spending time with me. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.
The Modern Blaze Show.